La maudite Dave Hill Show.
I have seen the dark shadows moving in the woods, and I have no doubt that whatever I have resurrected through this book is sure to come calling for me.
David, you look absolutely terrific, honestly. You've got like glue on.
This is where the worst begins. This is where we must stop. For beyond is the work of madness. The nightmare of insane murder and lingering death.
Get inside and lock your doors. Close your windows.
Someone is watching you. Someone is waiting for you. Someone wants to scare you to death.
This is Albert from the Tuesday Show. You're listening to the goddamn Dave Hill Show, now on a flipping Monday.
No. You're an angel witch. That tapping solo every time. It's like the first time I've heard it. Anyway, hello and welcome to the Dave Hill Goodtime Hour with me, Dave Hill from before. Hello, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us. How you doing, boy criminal? Chris Gersbeck.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really great. I'm in Ohio, as you may have picked up on.
Yeah, you're old. You got
for
your
the
old
high
backdrop.
holidays.
Like
There's
the old days.
screaming going on outside. Yeah, I'm back in my pandemic bunker for the week. Just visiting, though, in a disease-free environment. How are you doing, New Jersey Chicken Rancher Dez?
Doing very well. Glad to be back. Sorry I had a miss last week. I had some extensive dental work.
We were all very concerned. How are you now? Are you back on top?
100%. 100%. Ready to go. All square.
That's
The
good to
show
hear.
pretty much immediately fell apart when we tried to do it without you, Des. Just so
I'm
you
sure
know.
that would have happened
I mean-
where I hear.
It didn't have long to fall, though, to be fair.
Yeah. It's
Not
it's
far
always
to
on
fall.
the edge. It's nice to be missed, though. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I want a week in, Deb Reed writes, a week in Ohio, a week in paradise. There's a lot of excellent comments already. Breadgetarian writes, does anyone else mix up Dave Hill for Rich Fulcher? Yes.
I think I used to do that
Yes, they
before
do.
I knew you.
That's like, that's sort of how Rich and I became friends. Because Rich and I, we would each hear that from other people. And then when I started going to the UK to do shows, people would say, "Hey, you're on the Mighty Boosh." I'm like, "No." I even did the Fringe Festival. A guy sat there, watched me for an hour, and said, "Great show, Rich." Or maybe he said good show. I don't know. He may have said terrible show, Rich. But I was like, you think I'm Rich Fulcher? He's like, yeah. I love Mighty Boosh. I was like, you sat in this little theater and watched me for an hour, and you still think I'm Rich Fulcher, even though the show is advertised as Dave Hill. It's like, yeah, I still think you're Rich. No. And then the same festival, I met a guy at a party at the beginning of the festival and couldn't hear what he was saying, and I was just nodding along, and then ran into him at a party a few weeks later, and he's like, "Rich, how's the festival going for you?" I'm like, "No, I'm Dave." And he's like, "No, Rich, I was talking to you at that party a few weeks ago. Like, how's it going?" And I was like, and I think he thought I was Rich, really just committing to it really hard. And then finally, you know how, like, I feel like women, and maybe I'm stereotyping, but women, when you say, "Oh, you remind me of my friend Janet," or whatever, women tend to be more open to it and say, like, "Oh, I would like to meet her at some point." But I feel like, do you agree with this? Men, I feel like when someone says, "You totally remind me of my friend Rich," then you think, so Rich and I, like, we wanted to kill each other. We hated each other just because people were telling each other that we reminded each other.
So wait, was Rich getting he was getting the compliments meant for you as well?
Well, people were telling him that they're like, "You remind me of Dave Hill."
Yeah.
People were saying that to him, and they were saying to me, "You remind me of Rich Fulcher."
They were
So
straight
by
up
the
thinking
time
you
we-
were Rich Fulcher, though.
What's that?
You weren't just reminding people of Rich. You were straight up people
Being
were thinking,
in the UK, I would be straight up mistaken for Rich.
right. So that's a dangerous place
And
to
then
live.
Rich and I were on the same flight to Comic-Con one year, and we were both at the bar at JFK. We were sitting right next to each other. So by the time we met, we were like, "Oh, hey, Rich. Hey, Dave." That's how we became friends.
Were you like both
There
reading
you
a
go.
book and then
I
you
I
turned?
hope to tell that story on the Moth.
It's just about ready, I'd say.
It was ready. No, he was on the phone. He was with Julian from Mighty Boosh, and he was on the phone, and I was sitting next to him. He hung up, and we just kind of turned. And we were like, "Oh, hey." And then we were friends ever since. We sold a TV show together. This is how the world is cheated.
Showbiz.
Very showbiz. We sold a TV pilot together, and it eventually, like most things in show business, crashed into the side of a mountain and never came to be. But we were really excited because we were like, "Oh, this will be a global sensation."
It's like 95% of anything you work on. It's not you specifically. I just mean in show business. It seems like
It's a cruel mistress.
That big break is always right there.
Oh, I can't forget this. But right before the show, I made my first sale, and I would argue probably only sale, of my the yams shoes I designed with yams on them.
Oh yeah.
Sold a pair. So whoever bought those, thank you.
That's the only pair?
I've sold one pair. I mean, to be fair, when I designed them, I thought, if I sell one pair of these shoes, they're shoes where there was some building was being cleared on in my neighborhood, and there was a discarded box that I guess that once contained yams, because it said yams on them, and had a drawing of anthropomorphic yams, very fun looking yams. And so I scanned it on my phone using the technology, and I made a pair of shoes because I love this old design. And I assumed it would just look like a really old box, so I didn't feel like I was like...
no licensing concerns or anything?
Well, I didn't think like, oh, this is going to cut into their yam shoe business.
The yam industry could come after you.
Big yam. Big sweet potato. We have a scorching hot show tonight.
Big time.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Joining us live, or those of you listening in the futuristic podcast format. Tom Scharpling, host of The Best Show, of course, has a brand new book coming out a week from tomorrow called It Never Ends, and it's awesome. I'm reading it now. I pre-ordered it, which we'll talk about because everyone has to pre-order it. That's my call to action tonight. And we have Nick Miller joining us later, playing some Stone Cold jams. So it's a scorching hot show. I've just returned to Ohio here, as we were talking about right before we fired up a little song called Angel Witch by the band Angel Witch from the album. Was that a super chat that came down the pike?
No, it was my wife texting me that she left that shirt hanging on the bookshelf behind me.
Oh, you mother. Oh, happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
To Chris Gersbeck and his wife, Jennifer Harmon. Yeah.
How about that? Congratulations.
Thank you. 7 years.
Matt Arnold, 7 years. Matt Arnold has a good idea. He says, give Tom a pair of yam shoes. Influencer marketing. It's not a bad idea. I don't even have a pair of yam shoes yet. I feel like yam shoes may invite the wrong kind of conversation. Or maybe the best kind of conversation. I don't know. I got to get myself a pair of yam shoes. I kind of like that the yam shoes didn't actually exist. Because they're through Threadless, which is all made to order. So whoever ordered them, and I'm eternally grateful to this person, has brought them into existence.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And you haven't even seen them with your own eyes.
No.
It's just a concept.
I've seen some digitized version. But I've just returned back here to Ohio. As I was talking about before, Angel Witch. My girlfriend's brother installed a ramp. Right before we left, he installed a ramp down the front entrance for his mother, who's not great with stairs. And it's 45 degrees, so it's pretty much guaranteed that if she were to try to use this ramp, she would topple over instantly.
Was there any kind of like traction, like a sandpaper or like a skateboard?
Yeah, there's total traction, but the physics involved, there's just no way that she wouldn't fall over. Like I couldn't even walk down this ramp. And so I said, you have to fix this ramp. And then so I've returned, and he's extended the ramp now 3 times as long, all the way to the edge of the lawn, at which point, as soon as the ramp ends, there's just a hill, about a 10-foot drop into a ditch. So now if his mother uses it, she's
Can you put
pretty
a slip and slide on it too?
I mean, that's really the only choice. But now I have to ask him to take it. I have to be the heavy. I'm pretty much the heavy when it comes to ramps in this town.
Before you take it, you change it though. Maybe you should put some sort of launch at the end of it and try to jump the ditch. Maybe that's what he's headed for.
I think he is just like, fuck you, Dave. I'll show you. To try to school me on ramps.
Oh, Dave, we got a super chat already.
We have a super chat. This is it's amazing. Jessica Kybell writes, "Is this enough for Dave to get yam shoes? Oh my gosh, that's a substantial,
very generous
super chat. Thank you, Jessica. The irony of we still haven't figured out how to access the super chat money. There's literally millions of dollars.
I was just looking at that today. There's all this
trust
money just sitting in limbo.
It's in a
waiting.
Oh my gosh. Oh golly. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I think maybe I will treat myself to some yam shoes once we split that super chat money. I'll be able to put them on layaway, the yam shoes.
Nice.
If anyone wants to see the yam shoes, and I'm not saying this because I am expecting anyone to buy the yam shoes, though they are great. MrDaveHill.threadless.com if you would like to have a look at the yam shoes I speak of. But I do feel like they project an image of, like, you know, when someone has crazy shoes on, that, like, they're trying to be like, hey, I'm fun. And that's not a message I always want to send. Sometimes.
Most times, I'd say. That's the image you're shooting out there.
It is. No, I like to project an image of fun, but the yam shoes kind of fun is kind of next level.
It does signal a commitment.
That's like a tailgating vibe.
I used to exclusively wear Vans slip-ons similar to that.
You would love the yam shoes.
I know. Maybe I should get a pair.
I think I'm seeing a note in the chat that I've just received from Chris Gersbeck, who writes, Tom is ready to go. So we should get Tom. Let's not make Tom wait.
Do you want to? I got Elvira who just popped up. What do you want to do with him at this point?
I think let's Elvira. Let's have Elvira call back.
All right,
and we can have Tom take call back in 20 minutes.
Call back in 20, Elvira.
That'd be better. Yeah, let's get Tom on here. You don't want to make him wait in Zoom limbo.
There he is.
Dear friend.
Hi.
Where is he?
You're probably looking at the YouTube window.
There he is. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us on our primitive little program.
Oh my God! Thanks for having me.
Everyone knows who you are, of course, already. But as I've said, you're of course dear friend, host of the best show, and author of the excellent new book, It Never Ends.
Yeah, comes out next Tuesday.
A week from tomorrow.
The countdown the countdown's been going on for a while, but it's getting closer to the end.
It's exciting. Are you excited, or are you stressed, or?
Yeah, a little bit of all of it. Yeah, I just it's exciting because I waited this long to do this, and it took forever to get to this point where I'd finally actually go and try to write a book rather than just kind of complain about not having a book. I guess I was waiting for somebody to write one for me or something. I don't know what I thought was the point of that, but it certainly didn't stop me from complaining. So I finally did it, but then it's also just like, it's scary because it's a whole other thing. It's not, you know what it's like. You open up in it and you share stuff, and you've written great books, and you're one of the inspirations for me to go write a book.
Well, I'm glad you did, because it's a great book. I was thinking about it. I have categories for books in my brain. They're very simple categories, but yours is in the highest category. The first category of books.
This is the lowest category?
The lowest category, which I was had no concerns that you would fit. That's just books you start reading, you're like, well, I can't read this. And then there's a book where you go like, I can read this. And then, and I knew you would blow right. I wasn't. I knew you would blow right past those categories. Not suggesting that there was any. I'm just telling you my broad definition of for all categories for all books.
Yes.
And then there's the books. Then when it gets into good to great, and then the highest category, and this is where your book falls into.
Top of the pyramid.
This is the top. I mean, and of course, what I think of anything, it's not going to get anyone that much in life. But I was just like, in books that I really love, at some point during the book, I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I don't care what whatever the writer's going to talk about, I'm in. And yours is in that category. I'm just like, bring it on. Whatever you're going to talk about.
That's very sweet of you.
It's a great book.
Oh, thank you. It took a long time to do, and then it also didn't take a long time. Like, I finished about half of it during the pandemic, during the early days of the pandemic. I just kind of powered through and got to the finish line. And then it was like, well, I have a whole year before this thing comes out. That'll be like, it's going to take forever. And then you turn around and something's like, yeah, it's 8 days and it's out. And it's a strange experience.
Yeah, but it's exciting. I know you talk about it in the book, but just for the viewers, for the listeners mostly, who will be hearing this in the podcast format, why did you wait so long?
Oh, I kind of wasn't even ready to do it, honestly. It just took a long time for me to get my head straight, get my life in perspective and in order, to be where it's just like, okay, well, now I can tell the stories from my life from this point to this point. And that just even doing that was a challenge, enough of a challenge. But I got there.
It's amazing.
I think I did.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like in the beginning. I mean, you sort of set the book up in the beginning for that you sort of say, well, I'm going to tell some funny stories, and then going to get dig a little deeper, and then but you really get into some and I could relate to so much of it. From like you're talking about mental health. I don't want to. And any spoilers, but you really get into like your mental health, and it's intense stuff.
Yeah, it is. That's the part I wasn't ready to talk about, that stuff. But it was just one of those things that if I was going to do this, I just needed to do it. Like Wham said, if you're going to do it right. you know what it is. So it was like, I just was at the point where I was like, if I tiptoe around all of these things, then I will have kind of done myself a disservice, ultimately. I'm better off just kind of figuring out how to do this and then doing it, rather than being cute and kind of bouncing around my life while avoiding like the elephant in the room, or the elephants. Yeah. But look, you've done it. I read your book. I read 2 of your books. I didn't read the Canada one yet, but I read 2.
It's okay. My own family hasn't read the Canada one.
Well, I will.
That's when they start to drop off, when you start writing about Canada.
Hey guys, people are wondering if you coordinated wearing the same shirt tonight.
Yeah, we did. We went to there's a cool fashion montage of Dave and I at the mall.
It was like adventures in babysitting.
Exactly. Where we're walking on sunshine.
We're jumping out from different corners of the store in ridiculous outfits, and then just.
Well, look at that. We are wearing very similar shirts. Mine's short sleeve. Yours is long sleeve. It seems to be.
Yes.
We share the same type of shirt. We shared the Tuesday night slot on WFMU.
Yes.
What haven't we shared at this point, Dave?
Well, I took some notes. I mean, I don't want to. I want, obviously, this is, of course, I want you to feel the full Dave Hill effect.
Yeah.
And get that spike in sales
Exactly.
that comes with an appearance on the show. Everyone, I pre-ordered the book. I was fortunate. I got a PDF of it, but it's coming in physical form next week to me. But everyone pre-order it.
You go to tomwroteabook.com, where I set up an all-purpose website to be the home for anyone's questions or concerns about how to get the book. And we're doing a book plate that people can get I'm signing them all day. This thing here.
I know I saw that on Instagram today.
Yeah, and it's I've just been on Zoom. Like, I've been at work and I just on Zoom, and I sit and I just have the book plates right below the camera line, and I just go like this, and I'm sure they can just hear me going like.
It's hard to. I was writing on a show when my first book came out, and I was so relentlessly like working on promoting it at work that the showrunners took me aside and were like, "Could you just hide this a little better, so you're not just blatantly promoting your book in the writer's room?"
Yeah. So it's just
and I needed to hear it.
Sometimes those are the hard things to hear, or the truth like that. But what are you gonna do? But what are you gonna do? It's just like, no. It's like, no. It's not that I'm not paying attention at work. I am, but I'm just doing things with my hands. Like, there's no difference between that and if you were just doodling on a notebook.
Yeah, if you're doing that, fidget spinner.
Yeah, you have a fidget spinner. You might as well clear the room of all fidget spinners while we're at it. No fidget spinners, no notebook, no doodle pads, nothing.
I don't know why I dragged fidget spinners into this.
Yeah, they've had a hard enough time.
Yeah, they had they had a good run about 5 years ago.
Post-pandemic, that's not the pandemic was not good for fidget spinners. It was not a good climate for people to be like, nah, just sit around and spin this thing in my hand.
I made some notes throughout the book, some of my favorite sentences, and I thought my favorite. I've saved about the last third of the book, so I will have something to read when the hard copy arrives. Wrapped it up like fine chocolate.
Sure, of course.
So when the book arrives, I can curl up and drive it home. But I have one of my favorite lines is, "There's always one high school dickhead that studies martial arts just so they can beat up people in unexpected ways."
The guy that kicked someone in the throat.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And but then as it went on, there's when you're talking about I guess this will reveal a bit about this chapter, but drop a good helping of "I just got out of a mental hospital" into the mix, and you've got a kid who makes the Crumb brother who drew smaller and smaller illustrations look like Mariah Carey, which I love that because it's an amazing sentence, but on its own, but as a fan of that movie, of the Crumb movie, that's I think that was my favorite Crumb as well.
Yeah, I just can't pick a favorite Crumb. I go back and forth between the one that ate the towel and then the one that drew the little Treasure Island drawings that got smaller and smaller, or of course our Crumb.
But you think going into the movie, you think, well, of course it's going to be our Crumb. But by the end of the movie, I was like, I don't know. I kind of love all of them.
Yeah, it is funny I watched that movie about a year ago, and there was things in it where I was like, where he's like, everybody's got these shirts with team names on it. It's like he's getting really mad about it's like, yeah, okay, that's kind of it's not new. It wasn't a new development like shirts with logos on them and things. Like he was really getting twisted about just like people wearing a San Francisco 49ers shirt. It's like a billboard for the team. It's just like, yeah, it's been going on for a while. I don't know what to tell you. Like you're gonna lose that fight also. No, but I do like that is, I think that's one of the all-time great documentaries.
It's amazing. Yeah, and you realize like, oh, R. Crumb is rose to international, acclaim, but like all three of the brothers are amazingly talented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dave, there's some super chats. There's
super chats.
I think the highest super chat we've ever gotten in here.
Oh my God, I see it coming.
There's a question for Tom from Matt Arnold, who asks, Tom, have you ever had the pleasure of wearing Yam-inspired footwear?
Funny that you say that. No, I have not. I heard the origin of Dave's footwear line. I have yet to have the pleasure.
Well, you're in for a treat. We'll get your sizes after the show.
Okay, great. Yeah.
No, thank you for indulging that question. The Yam shoes have already, they've gotten more mileage than I ever expected. Mm-hmm. I was really testing out the design software, but here we are. We'll get you a pair. They're good for they're good for never leaving your house in.
Okay. Well,
Jessica Kybell writes, Yam shoes are expensive. I need 14 and 15 for my guys, so you and Chris have to buy them and wear them, or I will never see them. I will come to a Yam jam. Okay. All right. And then there's one more. Forget Vans. Yams will be my next footwear purchase. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, Tom.
No, you're going to need to listen to the people on this. I think they're telling you. It's fine that you have Tom on. We really do want to talk about shoes.
Well, the super chat, we're just, we're obligated to read them because people have paid.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lag time to them where, people are just picking up on the Yam shoe chatter. But let's focus.
What a weird time when suddenly it's just like, yeah, this person paid. I got to read their Yam thing. You think about like Johnny Carson just being like somebody like 30 million people watching him at 11:30 at night back then, and then now you and I are grinding it out here. One Yam shoe, topic at a time. And I get the same thing with my show. I know what it's like. I remember when. One of the true embarrassing points when Martin Short called in the best show back when it was on WFMU. And then it was like one of the greatest honors of my life. I'm so excited and nervous. It's like we go to take phone calls. And the first one was this guy, Spike, who used to call my show all the time.
Yeah.
And then he asks him, hey, that you did a movie with Kevin Bacon and Christopher Guest directed. It's like, what's that movie again? What's that called? And that was the question. And I'm like, this guy could have looked at IMDb and figured that out, but he had to call the actor in the movie to ask him, what was the name of that movie again? Oh my God. I could have crawled up into a hole.
Well, that's sort of, I have no other station to compare it to, but sort of the beauty of FMU would be that callers would call in and just figure stuff out on the air rather than Google or make any effort. Mm-hmm. People would, my show, people would just call in and be like, what's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah. Rather than the onus be on them to be like, maybe I'll figure this out. It's like, nah, I got to ask this guy what the deal is. What's that number again? 201? He better explain it to me.
Explain it on the air.
Yeah. I always loved. I would get calls early on because for the first couple of years on WFMU, everyone hated my show so much. Oh my God, it was so incredibly unwanted in every capacity. It's just like, and then there'd be people where they'd be like, "I can't stand your show," and you'd be like, "Well, go listen to something else." He'd be like, "I can't. I listen to." It's like, what do you mean you can't? It's like, look, it's one thing if you don't like it. That's fine. I'll wrap my head around that. But don't act like you can't. You have no other choice but to listen to it. It's like you're listening on a radio. Keep turning that dial, and other things are going to show up.
That's the FMU loyalty.
Yes.
No other stations on the dial.
That's it. One station. You get your radio and you weld it to 91.1.
That's a great part of the book as well. The sort of eureka moment after that, when you finish talking about the mental health stuff, and then finding radio, which is sort of like that's such a beautiful chapter, because I think most people like never have that in life where they're like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's very easy to forget how fortunate any of us who figure a thing out that is like really kind of feels like it's answering questions, how lucky that is to find that, because most people, like you said, they don't find it or they don't get a chance to try it. And I know I've been very fortunate in that regard, that I got to do this and it worked out as best as I could have, better than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, amazingly. It's a sensation.
Oh, you're sweet.
I'm sorry I keep going back to these quotes.
Please. This is the most flattering thing that's ever happened to me. I'm sorry I'm
it's all down
pulling these great quotes that I loved from your book.
What?
Yeah, would you knock it off?
What if it's just it's all downhill? It's all the interviews and all the press is downhill.
Yeah. Oh,
after a man child is just going through quotes in your book. Though that's a quote I don't have in here, is the thing where you talk about being called Tom as opposed to Tommy, and how Tommy has the I forget the phrase he used, but it was something about like man child, and then it's parentheses Lee Stinson Wiseau, and I forget who the fourth.
Maybe Lasorda might have been the other one.
But that's perfect. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. And you have your name as. What are the Daves you're most proud of and least proud of
in the world? I mean, Dave.
Well, look, Dave Hill. First of all, you share it with the guy from Slade right off the bat.
That is he is the only Dave Hill. I've said this before. The only Dave Hill I defer to.
Okay.
I don't feel in competition with other Dave Hills, but there's it's a very common name. But I love Slade.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, yeah.
And so I've talked about this before, I think, on the shows. I've gotten an email once in a while. I get emails from people who somehow go to my website, look at the pictures, take however long, and still say I'm gonna email the guitar player from Slade.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy clearly isn't in his mid-70s, but I still think there's no way that his name could be Dave Hill and not be the guy from Slade. What other option could there be?
But I got this. There's apparently in the Midlands in England something called Slade Days. That's I guess a long weekend, just all Slade all the time. And I got an email inviting me, asking if I would attend.
That'd be the greatest thing ever.
And I wrote saying like I understand what's going on here. I want you to know I still want to attend. I love Slade, and I'll come and I'll give a presentation. Never heard back.
Yeah.
Dave, you also got often confused for the Game of Thrones writer Dave Hill quite a bit when that show was on.
Yeah, I would get emails about that. I still do on occasion.
And then there's the political writer. I guess did he change to David more? Is he more David these days?
I don't know. Which guy's that?
He's a tri-state area guy. He's really nice, great guy.
I
like him.
Oh, I know this. I know. Yeah, he wrote a book about gambling, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I do know that. I think he does call himself David Hill.
Yes,
I had him.
You ran him off the road. You ran him off the road. Off the Dave Hill road.
I had to. I mean, that's threatening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Dave Hill from Slade, he can have it. We're not, as you said, he's in his mid-70s. He's had a good run. But this other Dave Hill, who's like in the ballpark, similar age, writing books, he needs to be crushed.
No, that's you versus him. That's Highlander territory.
But
isn't it funny? With one other Slade thing, isn't it crazy that Noddy Holder and Robert Plant went to the same school when they were kids?
I don't know if I knew that. I must have known that because I read Noddy Holder's. I should, when I get back to New York, I have this in my apartment. I'll send you the Noddy Holder audio if you're interested. The autobiography.
Because just like those the two biggest voices in the 70s, arguably, and they both went to some sort of grade school together. Like it's inconceivable, but it happened.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Slade? You must have seen Slade in Flame, right?
Yes. A long time ago. But
I highly recommend it to anyone listening. Yeah. It's on YouTube, actually.
What is that? Is that a documentary?
No. They did a scripted movie playing, another band, and it's all in, Midlands or like black country accent. So you really have to, like, I've tried. The only way to watch it is you can't, because it sounds like, it's a Slade movie. I'm going to have a drink and watch this movie late at night. But you can't because you need all faculties to watch. You need to watch it in the middle of the day on high volume to really get what's going on. Highly recommend it. But wait, we need to go back. There's so many, but the thing that really, so many things spoke to me in this book. But when you get into Pure Platters, and it made me like I tensed up because I was like, I totally know this feeling. And it's a feeling that doesn't exist anymore.
Not to that degree, because that was, now at least, the Pure Platters was a record store in Hoboken that was truly the best record store in New York City, was in Hoboken. And everyone knew it. Because it's like you'd go into New York and it would either be like a tourist trappy kind of place, or like Midnight Records was more garagey. But it's like if you wanted like the real indie stuff, it's like Pure Platters was where you went, and everybody shopped there. And I would go there and I would have just I'd be just terrified. I felt like I was on a tightrope every time I was there, make sure I picked the right thing out and didn't get the wrong thing. Because it now I guess people obviously have options to at least check music out online or whatever. But then it was just like, if you want to hear this is the only way you're going to hear it, is to get a hold of this record, and this is the only place you can get it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to look stupid in front of them.
Yeah, and you can't even like sort of like rest your hand on the wrong record for fear, when you're like 19, 20 years old, for fear that someone might see you like resting your hand on, Spandau Ballet or whatever on the way to.
Yeah. It'd be just like, yeah, this is one I'm not going to buy. I'll buy this somewhere else. Like at I'll get this one at Vintage Vinyl, not at Pure Platters. They're not as judgy at Vintage Vinyl.
Tom,
but they were right. What's that?
Sorry, Tom, Vintage Vinyl just announced they're closing down.
Oh, I know. Broke
that.
my heart. That's one of my favorite record stores. It's probably the record store I've shopped at more than any store ever. So loved it so much. That's very sad.
Yeah, that's. But yeah, that whole, I love the talking about seeing Sonic Youth in the records. That's some of the most early 90s just prime feelings. I remember seeing Dinosaur Jr. at Maxwell's, and Kim Gordon was standing there, and I asked her if she knew when Dinosaur Jr. was going on, because I was just like, I have to say something. And we're standing there, the lights have gone, like they're lit. Obvious, everyone knows they're going on in like a minute. She's like, I think they're going on now. But I levitated home from the interaction.
Yeah, you did it. You did it.
But this is the thing I wanted to say is, what's the sense? You're talking about Nirvana, right? I saw them play with Tad, their mountainous sub pop label mate, and Tad handed them their lunch that night. Thank you. That I am a massive Tad fan, and I've never heard anyone, certainly not read a book where someone said that.
No, I think this is the first hardcover published matter of record that Tad was better live than Nirvana were.
And it needed to be said.
They were great. Tad was awesome. Nirvana were very good. Tad was great.
No, but it's interesting. You talk about this in that chapter. I thought, and I think it's probably the most. I've been wrong about many things in life, but the first Nirvana record, I think you said something about. I forget how you describe it. You're like, it was kind of like this crazy. How did you describe the record?
Well, Bleach, I thought was just Bleach. When Bleach came out, the first single, Love Buzz single, and Bleach were just so perfect to me. They were just so simple to a point of like being like stunted almost, where they're just like, you're almost wondering if they can play or not, because
it had this like caveman quality to it.
And they would lock into these like repetitive things that almost sounded like the record was skipping, but it wasn't. And then they kind of decided to sound like Foreigner or something when they signed to Geffen.
But I mean, I couldn't, with that first record, I remember being like listening to it with my friends and thinking like, this is great, but there's no way people are ever going to get into this band.
I
was proven wrong a few short years later.
Yes. No, it got you did not get that one right. I hope you didn't put money on it. Like, I'll bet the rest, anything I make for the rest of my life, this band does not succeed. And you're just like, what is success anyway? Like, what
is it one of the biggest records of all time? I don't know.
Yeah. Who could say?
No, there's I mean, just the music criticism alone in this book is my Bloody Valentine was okay. They were always kind of overrated. If they weren't British, the world would have slotted them in between the Lilies and Velocity Girl, two solid American indie noise bands.
I will go to my grave knowing that's true.
I think it's spot on. But now, this is really embarrassing. But what do you think of this? I've always said that not, and I preface this isn't like a band I listen to all the time, but I always said that if Third Eye Blind had been English, they would have been treated like Blur, at least briefly.
Oh, interesting.
People would have been all over it and just been like on board. But
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with that. It's sort of the converse.
I think he's gone on record multiple times saying he wrote Semi-Charmed Life to be like a Velvet Underground song.
That's my favorite karaoke song to do, Semi-Charmed Life. And it is.
Now,
I'm very good at it. I do the full 5-minute version.
This is my question. Yeah, the one with the extended break that most people have never heard.
Something I want to do just a little bit. That part. And I ain't gonna do. Yeah, that part.
Yeah, it's a really long. Every time I hear it, you can hear like the marketing guy at whatever label being like, "What if we cut out this minute here?"
Exactly. Just being like, "Here's my thoughts." You go from cut right from the sand beneath my toes part and go right to the slow I want something else. No, that song, they wrote real hits. I think that guy is a little bit of a challenge to maybe wrap your head around to be a fan of. But
yeah,
those are hit songs. You could say it just like, what's the difference between Third Eye Blind and Weezer, really, in terms of people's perception of 90s major label alternative rock?
Yeah, it's something. It's probably the difference between a stylist or something.
Yeah, and I just think the Stephen Jenkins was kind of just like, I'm not a nerd. Like, guy in Weezer's a nerd, not me. I think that's the difference. Is he didn't think he was ever a nerd. I've never been a nerd. I'm not one. Why would that guy can wear his horn rim glasses all day long? I've got great eyesight.
I know. I think he dated Charlize Theron or something. He would just never missed a step. They also, I think they played the Republican convention in Cleveland.
Oh no!
And then refused to play any of their hits, which
I
think
they purposely trolled a crowd of Republicans, which I thought was amazing.
I think it's amazing. I mean, I think the move obviously wouldn't have been to play at all, but I do like that they did that.
No, I like the troll part of it. They get the silver medal for. I think it's like Roger Waters saying the thing about like Mark Zuckerberg trying to get whatever song he was trying to get for, and he was just like, no, absolutely not. He's like, screw that guy. I'm not giving him my song. Like you just have to tell them to kind of go jump in a lake, not to be just like, and we took their money. But we didn't give them what they wanted. Like, you're playing a risky game with that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think with Third Eye Blind, imagine this, they're British. Is Semi-Charmed Life common people then?
No, I think it's song number 2.
No, Semi-Charmed Life is The Charmless Man, I think.
Okay. All right.
I think or no, it's what's the Boys and Girls song?
Boys and Girls.
I think it's Boys and Girls. Yeah.
Boys and Girls. Yeah, that's what I think it is. Probably.
Okay.
Then I'm not saying they could have been Blur. I'm just saying they could have been
treated as Blur.
They could have been like in Spiral Carpets or something, a band that is mentioned in connection with 5 or 10 other bands.
Yes, that was the band that Noel Gallagher was a roadie for.
Yes.
Before he became Noel Gallagher.
Where do you stand on Oasis?
Of the if there's 5 major Britpop bands, right? 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think you go Pulp first. I think Pulp first. I think Oasis is last of the 5. I think because if it's Pulp, if it's Pulp, Oasis, Blur, Elastica, and who am I missing?
Happy Mondays.
Not happy. I would put them a hair ahead.
Stone Roses.
Not Stone Roses. Put them. They're 1 inch ahead. Also, I don't know. I would put. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on it. I would put. A Suede would be the other one. I'd say Pulp, then Suede, then Elastica, then Oasis, then Blur.
Now, would you go to Oasis Reunites? Would you go?
It's a matter of convenience. I would not inconvenience myself to see it, because it's going to be in a football field somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, a football field. It'll be in some park. It'll be 1.5 miles away from them. I like the spectacle of Oasis and the stories behind. It's like they're like baseball a little bit for me, where it's just like, or wrestling, where it's just like, I like when the guys yell at each other in the hallway, but I don't necessarily want to watch them do their thing.
Yeah. It's a good. I'll go on YouTube sometimes and just watch interviews with them, just because they have good insults. I think I've done that more than I've listened to their music.
The best insults like that. I think their best record might be that one of just them arguing. That's 7-inch. No, they were fun, but it's sometimes the Beatles references are a little too much. Where I'm just like, you really gonna put a thing about riding around in a yellow submarine in a later like that? You're not embarrassed to say that? Like, come with me in my yellow submarine. It's like, you're assuming no one's ever heard the Beatles when you do stuff like that. It's like, that's a pretty bold leap. Because, we're gonna blow some minds. But who do you rank as the best of that crop?
Probably Pulp or Blur, I think. But I have a weird thing with Oasis, because I hated them early on. I hated them just because for all the reasons you mentioned, and plus, I was just like, oh, these guys seem like assholes, and then they do this with their music. So I was like, and then a few years later, I heard that second record, like it had been out a long time, and I was like, oh, this is like, if I can set aside my feelings about it, like I'm really enjoying this. and then I've gone like, I would go, I tend to think they'll have to reunite at some point, and I'm like, I want to see it because there's nothing to ruin for me. Like, when the Replacements came back around, I had no desire. I love them, but I'd seen them so many times, when I was younger, that I was like, I can't. This can only be ruined, and not even necessarily by the band, but I was just like, it's gonna be a bunch of guys my age pretending that they're 20, and it's gonna make me sad, even if I engage in it. But
I get that completely. I mean, for me, that wasn't that was Dinosaur Jr. getting the original lineup of Dinosaur Jr. getting back together. It was just like, please don't let this be like less than what it should be. And then it wasn't, and I was just so shocked that they came in so hot. And by this point now, they've made like 5 albums with the reunited lineup. They've made more in the second wave than the first wave, and the albums are all really good. To me, it's the most impressive kind of like second act for a band that got back together and did it again. Then I can't think of anybody else who did it to the level that they've managed to do it.
I agree, and not to take anything at all away from Jay Mascis, but Lou Barlow is coming in especially hot on these records, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he's he's always been like the secret weapon because the way he plays bass he plays like a guitar. It's crazy. Just drums it.
Yeah, I love that. When my first band, we would trade off guitar and bass just out of like ego because we were both guitar players. And then one day I was like paying attention to Lou Barlow and I was like, oh, if I did that, then it's the best of both worlds. It's really fun and it just makes so much noise. There you go.
Oh, absolutely. So thick and heavy. And it's like, and the other thing you were saying about Oasis, it's like, I feel like you and I were in similar places where it's just like, I had all this like indie stuff that I was like focusing on and I was right next to, like, I could go see people, like, why would I go get caught up in a major label band that's playing just bigger places and a part of this kind of like corporate kind of thing when there was stuff just like, there were so many great bands that wanted you to come see them. And that was like, because they seemed, I mean, they still seem like this. When they came out, I was like, yo, this is like a like a fake band. Yeah, it kind of, they did have that feel.
But then over the years, it's become more like kind of how I feel about like Doritos or something, where I'm just like, I'm not eating this because I think it's good for me. I'm just like, I come across a bag of Doritos once a year, and when I do, they're amazing.
That's exactly it. I know that feeling where you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm under no illusion that this is anything other than garbage that someone else could beat. Someone else who knows 6 things about being in a kitchen could do better than this, but I'm still gonna do it.
I have so many notes here about things I love about your book. But in this might be the I don't want to say my favorite moment because it's one of them. But when you reference the Gordon Jump episode of Different Strokes, I was just like, I have to call all my best friends from growing up because that was like, we referenced that episode all the time.
Insane. It was just like, and then it was just the kind of thing where you're just like, please let me someday see the Gordon Jump episode of Different Strokes again. And I remember it came on the 2-parter and I got it on, I rolled tape on it and I was just like, this is I might as well have like stumbled across like a strain of gold or something in a cave because it was just like, this is priceless. I have the Gordon Jump 2-parter.
It's kind of the quintessential very special episode of a sitcom where they go out with the silent credits on the first part.
That's exactly it. Yep, where they're just like because there's no room for applause right now.
I always found it jarring when like there would be like the very serious moment and then someone character would crack a joke and then you'd hear the audience come in for the first time in like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and just like, always be like,
well, that episode definitely has one of those where it's just like, all right, we got to get them laughing again soon, but let's start with a real gentle, like a Bazooka Joe level joke. Like, just like, it's not even going to be really a joke, but it'll just be like something we'll break the tension with it. And then Mr. Drummond can storm down to the bicycle shop and confront Mr. Horton. It all comes back to me when he's like, hey, Arnold. Oh, come on, Arnold. Over in France, kids like your age are drinking wine already, Arnold. And you know, Gordon Jump, like fresh off WKRP is just kind of like, this is the kind of role I've been waiting to sink my teeth into. Finally, something with some heft to it. And now here we are talking about it as the worst television that's ever happened.
Oh, Drunk Dudley. Did you ever see are you a fan of the Friday the 13th franchise?
Yeah, I mean, to a point. I've watched. I've seen a lot of them.
Do you remember the episode? I think it was part 6, maybe, where Dudley saves the day on like a construction equipment.
No, so the actor who played Dudley.
Yes, yeah. To be clear,
he wasn't playing Dudley. Actor. It wasn't Dudley.
He was essentially playing Dudley.
Okay.
But he saves the day. He somehow starts up like a steamroller or something.
And he steamrolls Jason.
Yeah.
Well, good job, Dudley.
If it was cause for a lot of excitement amongst my same friends who love the Gordon Jump episode.
Yeah. Dudley's back and he just killed Jason.
We don't really have the very special episodes anymore, do we?
No, I think now all those shows are on like Disney Channel and all that stuff. Like that level of sitcom isn't on where sitcoms used to exist. They're all just kind of shuttled off to basic cable.
Yeah, it was Chris, you don't even know about the very special episodes, do you?
Oh no, I do. I grew up on Different Strokes and Growing Pains and Full House.
Wait, so do you guys know do you know the Gordon Jump episode?
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah. It's on
Dudley
YouTube.
had a special episode too, where his dad had a lung removed, but they passed it off as knee surgery. And then his dad comes in at the end of the episode, just completely fine, looking nothing like somebody who just had lung surgery, and apologizing because I think Arnold and Dudley were smoking. And then that's why they had to have the special talk at the end of the episode. Very special Different Strokes. Yeah.
Oh.
Every show had like 4 of them.
I think there was one where Arnold got bit by a dog and had to get tested for rabies or something.
I think I remember that.
Very special.
Yeah. The moral is just don't get near rabid dogs.
Yeah.
Fair. This is a great segue because we have to talk about your new dog.
Yeah, Barbarella.
Barbarella.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. She's pretty amazing. I guess the breed is she's a Formosan mountain dog, which sounds impressive, but it's just the way. It's just like it's in Taiwan. Those are the dogs that's just like a term for mutt. They just call them Formosa mountain dogs. They're Taiwan dogs. They're just roaming the streets. And she at some point over in Taiwan, I guess she's got probably like a bear trap or something, and it's just her front paws got clamped down on, and she had them removed, and then got brought over here to the States. And me and my lady friend Julia adopted her. Well, we were fostering her, and then there was just a point where I was like, somebody was saying just like, hey, what's up with you still fostering that dog with the fucked up paws? And then I was like, I got so defensive. I was like, you can't talk that way about my dog. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's my dog. Like that moment, it was like a bad sitcom, like made me realize this. Like, I want that dog. I don't want to. So then it was a matter of just adopting her, and she, somebody developed prosthetic legs for her that are getting readjusted now. And she's kind of relearning how to move her, how to kind of walk on all fours. Cause otherwise she kind of walks like, she uses her front leg as almost like a cane in a way. Mm-hmm. So she moves very tentatively without the prosthetic legs, but she gets around. She can get around, but it's a strain on her back. Her back is arched too much when to try to accommodate the lack of front paws. So just as soon as she puts the prosthetic legs on, she stretches right out and is the full length that she should be. And you can just see the muscles kind of get, you just see her just revert to how she was at one point, where she could walk with 2 front paws. And it's it just makes me cry so much. I just look at her and I'm just like, it's so moved by.
I was so moved by the video of that I dropped you a line, as you know, of course. But because I saw you'd posted the photo and talked about, you know, her missing paws, and I knew that. I was like, well, I'm sure there's a solution in the works for this. So I found myself thinking about it sincerely. Like, I found myself, I would just like catch myself like, when am I gonna find out what's going on with Barbarella? Like, because I love dogs so much. I have a dog, and it started out the same thing, fostering, and then, you know, never leaving, and so, but I genuinely found myself just absentmindedly thinking about like, what's going on? When am I gonna find out what's happening? And so then one day I saw the video on Instagram, and I genuinely started bawling, like when when Barbarella walks, and I think it's I think it's your partner's holding like meat, so someone's holding meat.
Yeah, she is. Julia's holding meat, like a plate of ham, and she comes barreling toward it. And look, it's food motivated, that whatever it takes. But
of course,
she walks around without, like, there's been other times where it's like, just come on over here, and she'll just do it. She's getting better and better at it, and I'm excited because they're working on fine-tuning the legs so that it'll maybe be a little lighter for her. So
nice.
So yeah, and you'll get more updates and you'll cry again.
Oh my god, it's truly, anyone go to Tom's Instagram and watch this video. It's just like seeing just the joy of that dog just wagging its tail coming over. Oh yeah, it was honestly like one of them, especially after the last year or however many years of just like horrible moods I've been in, to see that was just like one of the most uplifting things I've seen.
Oh well,
I can't say.
I'm glad, Dave. It really, she just moves me every day, this dog.
Good. We so our musical guest Nick Miller is ready to break out a couple jams. Are you able to stick around, Tom, or do you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm here.
So let's bring Nick on, and we have a few minutes left here. We'll get a couple jams out of him. And
hey,
there he is.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, Nick. Do you know Tom Scharpling?
I know of him, but we've never met. Hey, Tom.
It's
hey,
all
Nick,
happening.
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm very excited to hear your songs.
Oh boy, thank you.
I like your hat.
Thank you.
And your Nilsson poster.
That's it's from a record. I bought a copy of the record that had this and somehow a second copy of the record in the sleeve.
Oh wow.
And I just bolted out of that store before they realized what they'd done.
Well played.
Yeah. Should I play a song now? You want me to just jump right into one?
Let's get a jam. Yeah, because we're running a little behind. So
all right,
let's guns blazing. That is an amazing hat, I will say.
Thank you.
As Tom has already said.
This song will sort of line up with the hat. This is one I wrote called Tiger Warsaw, named after a Patrick Swayze movie nobody should watch, but it has a place in my heart. So we got the tiger hat. Here we go. Tough time getting up in the morning, can't fall asleep at night. All I hear is static in my dreams. Headed down a road to nowhere, with a dog behind the wheel, and I don't know what that even means. And I'm staring at these curtains all day long, and I feel alright, but everything's all wrong. I'm walking a hole in my floor, staying in behind locked door, watching Tiger Warsaw, 'cause I can't go home. I wanna feel the breeze on my face, not just in my eyes. Remember what it's like to live carefree, hanging out in a crowded bar, being out on a packed dance floor, wondering if you even notice me. But these days I don't look no one in the eye, and if someone's coming across to the other side, I don't keep any company. Now all I got is me. Call me Tiger Warsaw, 'cause I'm all alone. Well, maybe soon I'll get out of this thinking. Maybe soon I'll go and see my friends. Maybe soon we'll all go out for drinking. Maybe soon you can call me by my name again. What's the good in asking questions when the answer's never good? I'm just gonna live inside my head. I got ghosts of everyone in there, but old pictures start to fade, and a sweater's weakness is its thread. So I try to keep them living in my mind, at least the ones who ain't left me behind. 'Cause this life can't always last, it's just a hurdle that you gotta pass. Even Tiger Warsaw got to go back home. Even Tiger Warsaw got to go back home. Even Tiger Warsaw got to go back home.
Nice.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Oh.
I have not seen Tiger Warsaw. Have you guys seen Tiger Warsaw?
I have not.
No, sir. I don't think so.
Tom, have you?
No, that's news to me. I guess I'll hit the Criterion channel.
It is it's a very bad melodrama that was shot in and takes place in my hometown. And so I wrote that song. It's a little pandemic song for you, obviously, by how cheerful it was.
Well, in your hometown, where?
In Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Yeah.
Home of the Steak and Lube.
Yeah, the Quaker Steak and Lube.
Yeah. And wait, isn't is that where Trent Reznor's from?
Trent Reznor is from Mercer, which is like a couple towns over.
There we go.
But basically the same thing. Maybe not.
Same region.
People might get mad at that. The locals, if you call those the same.
It's the same. No. I was thinking about, have you guys seen Roadhouse lately?
It's not lately. No.
A couple years maybe.
I caught the end of it recently.
It's a remarkably, I mean, I'm not I don't seek it out, but it's one of those things where if you lose the remote, odds are Roadhouse will come on eventually, whatever channel you're on. Yeah. It's a remarkably violent movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Violent.
I think Swayze. Anyway, I digress.
It's funny with the movie, not to take you off target, but it's like if you had a movie called Roadhouse and you're like, well, where do you think the final scene takes place? You're just like, well, at the Roadhouse. Is like, well, not really. It takes place in his game room, in Ben Gazzara's game room. All his bear heads mounted to the wall. It's like, no, we don't go back to the Roadhouse. Why would you end Roadhouse at the Roadhouse?
Bodies everywhere. Oh man. Can you play another song for us? We have a few minutes left. Where are you? Are you in New York, Nick?
Yeah, I'm in my apartment in Brooklyn.
Nice.
I've been here the whole time.
I know you're one of the few people I saw in New York during the pandemic, during my brief
a few months ago.
Yeah.
Little stoop, which, to bring it back to earlier, that guitar that I got from you that day, that's the song I recorded with that was like a Pulp ripoff, to go back to Britpop bands earlier.
It all leads back to
Britpop. That's true. It does. I could do another song. I'm gonna do one for Dez. That's not one that I wrote. But
oh wait.
I know he likes country songs.
Okay. I was worried it might be Black Crows. He's off Black Crows.
I wouldn't do that to you, Dave.
He wouldn't do that to me either, I don't think.
Are you fully off Black Crows now, Des?
No, kind of like what you were saying about the Replacements before. You know, it's
you're not in for the reunion.
Correct.
All right. Tom, where do you stand on Black Crows?
Oh, I don't hold them in high regard.
I had a feeling.
I don't know if you could have guessed that one.
That's where I would have laid my money down on that.
See how hard I'm going after Nirvana and My Bloody Valentine. I think I'm gonna just be like, oh no, Black Crows are awesome though.
Diplomatic answer.
All right, this is a Chris Christopherson song because Des wanted to hear one. So
nice.
Take the ribbon from your hair, shake it loose and let it fall. Lay it soft upon my skin, like the shadows on the wall. Come and lay down by my side till the early morning light. All I'm taking is your time. Help me make it through the night. I don't care who's right or wrong. I don't try to understand. Let the devil take tomorrow. Lord, tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone. Tomorrow's out of sight. Ain't it sad to be alone? Help me make it through the night. Well, I don't care who's right or wrong, and I don't try to understand. Let the devil take tomorrow. Lord, tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow's out of sight. Lord, it's sad to be alone. Help me make it through the night. It's the only Chris Christopherson song I know how to play.
Thank you, Nick. I was excited when I saw Nick say he was going to be on this week, so threw him a little request.
And are those Beats by Dr. Dre you're wearing?
They are, yeah. I sold out. I had to pay $70 to wear these, and they do nothing for me, and they're falling apart.
They look cool.
Getting a lot of compliments on the hat, Nick.
It's a strong hat.
Yeah,
I'm not a hat. I can't wear hats myself, but
Alex Sanchez says unimpeachable hat game on this guy.
Wow, you should see all the other ones I got. We don't have time for that.
Nick, I know you're on Bandcamp.
Yes.
Where is that the best place for people to find your music?
Bandcamp has everything on it. Spotify has a lot of it, and other streaming services. But Bandcamp, it's Nick-Miller.bandcamp.com.
Oh man, you got screwed by the other Nick Millers.
Yeah, there's too many of them.
The Scourge.
I had to put in a hyphen. I'm still reeling from it 6 years later, but it's all on there. Most of it's on streaming services. And I put stuff, there's a lot of stuff that's on Bandcamp because I do a lot of last minute recording. I just put a song out last month that I wrote and recorded in a couple days and decided that I wanted to put it out. No one else really thought it was a good enough song to pay attention to when it came out, but that's on them. So if you go on Bandcamp, there will be a lot more.
Yeah.
It's just random stuff.
Many jams. And everyone go to tomwroteabook.com.
Yeah, please.
It really is I have so many notes I didn't get to. Of I can't recommend this book. Once again, not
can't recommend it.
I mean, no, I said I can't recommend it enough.
Okay, the word enough kind of changes the context.
No, this is my problem in mid sentence. Chris, when you edit it, put the guy. I can't recommend it enough.
I got a take of you saying enough and then just
we need 3 enoughs from you real quick.
I actually
have fun with the third one.
Years ago, a long time ago, I kept a blog on Blogspot, and I would write about just shows I'd gone to, and I wrote about going to see Bob Mould play, and I wrote I wrote something. I wrote something like, "He never fails to disappoint." Because I just mushed the 2 sentences together of like, it's just obviously just tired and just like fused 2 hack sentences together to describe that I enjoyed the show. And he was coming a couple days later to New York to do something else and was going to do my UCB show. And I was like talking to him. I was like, oh yeah, show was great. I actually wrote about it. And he's like, yeah, I saw that. And then I reread what I had, and I had to go, basically explain what I just. It wasn't a good moment for me talking to one of my musical heroes. Anyway, so you're in good company, Tom.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad. Now I know I'm in good company. Thank you so much, Dave. Coming on the show is truly special, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really, it's such a great book, and I hope you write a ton more of them.
Well, yeah, and I hope you'll come on the Best Show very soon too.
I would love it
because I wanted to catch up with you on my turf.
Yes. A slicker turf.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right, everyone go to tomwroteabook.com, get It Never Ends, and of course listen to the Best Show, as you already do, I'm sure. And go to nick-miller.bandcamp.com. And if you want to help keep gas in the tank, and and don't want to do a super chat, though I can't recommend them enough because they're an amazing addition to the show, go to MaximumFun.org/join. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chris Gersbeck. Thank you, Dez.
Got it.
Thank you, Nick Miller. And thanks again, Tom Scharpling.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone, for watching live. And thanks, everyone, for listening in the futuristic podcast format. Chris will tell us when we're